And if you look at Misery, look at all those pictures of him going back years. He's been a kid. I know this isn't a DC game, by the way, but it was topical anyway. He's been playing games forever.
Sure.
Like, it's not something he picked up when he was 20 and he thought, I'm going to make a go of this. He's been doing this forever. If I was, looking at my kids and they were doing that, and since the age of 11 or 12, they've been super into games, they've been trying to get in competitive gaming and stuff, I'd say this is clearly something they desperately want to do, and they're not going to lose that.
No.
If you were like 20, maybe it didn't work after a couple of years, you go, I'm done with this. Maybe you don't have that drive. He clearly does. So I think if you want to get into it, you should have been into it already. That's what I'd say.
I mean, that does resonate with what we heard from Zhao 8 in his previous interview yesterday, where, Slacks asked, how do you continue, why are you still playing? Why are you still at the top of your game? And his answer was simply, well, that's what I do if I wasn't competing.
That's his life. It's like, this is my life anyway.
He retired and all he did was play Dota all the time. So it's like, why not play tournaments at that point?
Exactly.
He loves it.
It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that they find themselves in with or without the competition.
Whoa, interesting picks.
Hello. Wait a second. Batty has been brought in by LFY.
Block pick.
Not necessarily. Actually, when I thought I made a mistake in the most picked and banned, but it is, if I'm not mistaken, the most picked / banned for LGD.FY.
Really?
Next to Batrider and OD, Bounty Hunter is present. A battle for the bounty between these two teams.
Now, Bat is still there in the... He hasn't been banned. They could pick Bat as well, FY. Darkseer.
That's Magi and Seer.
Yeah, that tells a lot. With the Ogre, they're gonna be trying to exert a lot of pressure once again on the offlane, and Ogre plus the Darkseer Iron Shell.
There's the Bat, see?
So both teams have a pretty good offlane, a dual offlane, but right now it's all gonna be about the Ogre versus the Bounty. Who gets more done?
63%.
Who gets more done in the early game? And as the Bounty, you do not want to run into the blue fat. You're gonna get killed. you wanna avoid the blue fat.
It's interesting that it's banned so much against them, because it's not like a hero they play all that much. Like, from watching the game to qualify, they've only played it a small handful number of times. So more like perhaps a respect ban directed at Zhao, because in the past it's sometimes been a favorite for him and his teams. Even when he was an offlaner, he would often pick up the bounty hunter. He liked to play around it, but this LGD.FY has normally been more the greedy 4th position hero. So does show a clear mindset change going to game 2. Like, the greed didn't work, let's pick up something with more early game.
Yeah, let's help Yao out, in the lane. You don't want to ditch him once again. You want to give the offlaner a good start, allows him to take control of the tempo of the game, allows your team to be in a much better position.
Silencer ban.
It's the partner for the Batrider that all the Chinese teams love to run, having, or not necessarily partner in lane, but partner for initiation.
Yeah, you grab, you global. Yeah.
Guaranteed kill on a core hero typically.
Right.
Yep.
Nullifies any escapes they may have.
DK we've seen used a lot as that just sort of steady Eddie frontliner, and then if you've got Batrider in the back waiting to jump, if you try to go on the DK, it makes it very difficult. So he just sits there hitting towers, and you've got Bat behind ready to jump and initiate.
Oh, interesting void ban.
Yeah, the void ban is like something Finn like to run a lot on the safe lane. I've seen them play it a couple of times with the Darkseer, so LGD just do not want to play against that, and Finn go for the Weaver here. Self-sustainable.
Why did I hear almost a slight disappointment in your voice there, Winter?
I mean, I'm just...
Oh, Weaver.
We've seen a lot of Weavers lose.
Oh gosh, yeah. We don't see a lot of Alchemists lose.
Your favorite hero! It's Alex Chemist.
It's not your best work, but yeah, I'll take it.
Winter
like
I love that. Oh,
you're genius, Ted.
Thank you.
Oh,
made Winter laugh.
That's good. Disruptor comes in. These, you know what? That's actually ridiculous. I think that's the 3rd one in the list of their most common. I had it in front of me.
Yeah, Disruptor is great with Bounty and Batrider, because you chase and you have the glimpse to send heroes back. You're not going to run away. So a lot of synergy between the first 3 heroes. But then again, if you look at Adfin's heroes right now, they're all really difficult to kill, very tanky, very mobile with the Weaver. So if you're not going to be able to take them down, then your chasing potential won't be useful.
We need some damage from LFY here.
They need a lot of damage, and at the same time, Disruptor plus the carry lane is going to be under a lot of pressure. Disruptor is not great at zoning Darkseer plus Ogre lane. Like, you don't do much.
LGD.FY have 4.
It's going to be a Timbersaw against the Alchemist lane once more.
They have 4 of their 5th most picked / banned heroes.
I mean, we've seen Alchemist Timber earlier today.
Yeah.
resoundingly.
Yeah, but that person doesn't play Timber a lot.
Indeed. So if this is
that doesn't count.
Might be different. Might be different.
Super, on the other hand, plays a lot of Timbersaw. He plays a lot of Timbersaw. So
what does a Timber do against an Alk in lane? What do you do?
Well, basically he's a strength hero, so the Whirling Death would do a lot of damage to him, and you have the reactive armor, so you have extra armor to tank through the acid spray, which is physical. So Timber does really well against Alchemist in lane. Should.
Yeah. Oh, Terrible Blade has been picked up.
But no.
And a quick Warlock.
Oh,
I don't know. Oh my
Fatal
God.
Bonds versus TB is going to be pretty nice.
This
A
TV,
late Warlock.
I don't know. This TV pick is
dubious.
Might be a blunder. Might have a very hard lane.
Blunder. Might be a blunder. Are you seriously framing
It's like a very risky thing. It might, if it works out well, it'll be really good. But if it doesn't, it'll be really bad.
The lane in stage is such a struggle with the Darkseer there. The Metamorphosis is such a long cooldown, 140 seconds at level 1. It's really hard to lane around.
Wow, you are framing it that LGD.FY have rolled the dice. They've taken a gamble, and it's with their tournament life. It is single elimination, and Ad Finum could really be completing the story to get to the semi-finals of their first and largest major event. It's big for the Greeks, and now the Chinese need to bounce back. Will it be ended in 2, or will we find a third? Let's introduce the casting pair for this one. Once again, it's time to see Capitalist and Malene.
Indeed, the great analyst Pyrian Flax dubbed it Terrible Blade. A gamble indeed. Merlini, is this actually going to work out? A last pick Terrorblade?
It is risky.
I mean, it's versus a Warlock.
But remember at Manila when N played Terrorblade and they won this kind of unwinnable game versus DC? It reminds me of that. So his Terrorblade is actually really good, even though the hero might not be that great.
And what do we think about Zhao Wei being able to have the Bounty Hunter on his side, and Ad Finum are going to be forced to play into that? Do you think that's going to be able to help? See, because Ad Finum, obviously they want to be able to play fast. They're an aggressive team. Bounty Hunter is the kind of hero that spots out these rotations. We saw how successful maybe next time was against some of that. Oh, the smoke does get popped, but nothing's going to come of it here. Do you think this is actually going to put a few wrenches in Ad Finum's plans to be aggressive, or do you think they're just able to fall back on this Alchemist? They've got the late game in that, and they're going to be okay and happy letting LFY take the first moves in this game too?
Well, I don't think it's just a deny pick, firstly, and I think it probably gives them the upper hand in the draft because that's not what Ad Finum were likely expecting in the first part, but he can cause a lot of trouble. Warlock's the hero that tends to sit in lane and play a little bit greedy, stack and pull a little bit. Alchemist, well known for just trying to get as most out of the map as possible. I think a lot of this rests on the Batrider though. Yao on the Batrider is going to have to make a lot of plays, even more than Xiao 8 did on his bat.
All right, we'll see how he's able to do against a Warlock and Weaver in his offlane. We've got the mid matchup. That one's going to be tough for Thug, who's playing the Alchemist. He's matched up against Super's Timbersaw, a well-known counter to the Alchemist. Fortunately, he will have some help. Spartan's going to be here already going for the early level 1 of Bloodlust, and I'm sure he's also going to try and do a little harassment to Super. Top lane, Skylar's going to be playing the Darkseer, and he's matched up against DDC's Disruptor, as well as N's Terrorblade, and they're going to try and go for an early kill on Skylark. They know he's trying to force this with the Ion Shells to try and get his fast level 2, but they're immediately going to go for him, and it looks like this is going to be a fast first blood. Skylark not even able to pick up the level 2. He'll die, giving the first blood to N.
At least he got the 3 melee creep experience before he died, so he is level 1/2. But yeah, Bounty Hunter already ruining the lanes for Ad Finum as he gives up an early first blood.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows Darkseer. This is the way he plays. He tries to double stack the Ion Shell, push into the wave, and immediately get his level 2 off of that.
And he probably expected the Bounty Hunter to be mid because likely if you're Ad Finum, you're like, okay, we're going to put the Ogre mid. They're going to think that we're going to put the Ogre mid, so they're going to counter by having the Bounty Hunter mid. Right. So, you know, Xiao 8's probably one step ahead and just like, okay, well, I'll just ruin the Darkseer's lane and put him at a really big disadvantage. And now the Ogre's forced to go up to the top. Skylark is level 2, so not that big a deal. Once you get level 2, you're not that worried. Although Disruptor can cause some more issues later on.
Yeah, I mean, this is first blood, and that's fantastic for LFY, but still, it is a Darkseer matched up against a Terrorblade, who's now blown his Metamorphosis. Every single time Metamorphosis is on cooldown, it just means a lane that Skylark's going to be able to repeatedly push in with Ion Shell
DDC
and keep them back. DDC is going to be target here of an Ion Shell combination. They're going to be able to glimpse back Spartan. Meanwhile, bottom lane, they actually managed to get the kill on maybe next time with the Batrider and Zhao 8's rotation on the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, so 2 lanes down, 1 to go, and a lot of people talk about how, you know, maybe the early game doesn't matter so much if there is an alchemist in this game, but I think every little bit counts in this early game, and every kill is going to count when there is a bounty hunter with track.
Pushing into N. He's got himself the early boots, so he can actually stay ahead of these ion shells a bit, but
Xiao 8,
still
the
gonna be a
haste
tough
rune on the
time.
bottom, maybe next time almost walks into it, but drops a sentry ward before. So that would have been a pretty easy kill if maybe next time walked all the way down into the rune spot. And Xiao 8 maybe looking to kill this chicken. It is spotted out, but he will hide it to the left, and Xiao 8 is scouting will be to no avail.
Do you think Xiao 8 is feeling it?
He needs 2 tree eaters.
He's got 2 tangos.
Yeah, there are 2 trees that you can eat to run into there. It's just very difficult.
So
So
he's going to be able to scout it out, but his haste rune is now gone. He sees the courier, but it's also just about to hit 3 minutes.
But he's standing in the place where if they fly it and they run it back, he's sitting right on top of it. The only problem is his vision is very, very low in that area. He's going to have to hit it as soon as it... Oh, Raiden has used scan. They know exactly where he is. So
yeah, they see him.
These shenanigans are not going to work. They know the bounty hunter inside and out.
Yeah, they immediately boost it as it runs back. That being said, Thug is not able to do any bottle crowing, and he's going to be having a hard time controlling these runes, as Xiao 8, for the most part, is going to be 1 step ahead of him.
But he's suiciding, so this
Yeah.
will give a big insight into where he's going to be positioned.
So maybe the 4-minute rune, Thug can kind of reset off of that, but he's going to need some help. I'm not sure what their plan is in that regards. Bottom lane, Madara is beginning to go onto Yao here, pushing him back behind the tier 1 tower. Those bugs are just so powerful in the early levels.
Spartan in the top gets caught out by kinetic
They're going to
field.
be able to run him down pretty easily. The kinetic field allows the setup for 1. Skylark may be the other victim here as they slow him down, but Skylark is just tanky enough. The reflection not able to slow for long enough.
Ogre has a fair amount of armor, but terribly just hits like a truck with that, and they're putting a decent amount of pressure on the terribly. He's not completely free farming.
That turn rate is so killer. Yao is slowly but surely ticking down, though. Combination of Fatal Bonds as well as Shadow Word will bring him quite low.
Wow,
God, that was the last tick.
That was the last tick. He has 17 HP with 25 damage. That after magic resistance, that is just barely enough. I think he just needed 2 more HP to survive right there.
Oh, Xiao 8, he's searching for it, but the slow bottle is staying 1 step ahead of him. They're going to try and run down Thug inside of that tier 1 tower area. Thug knows the tower is not much of a reprieve. He tries to run just straight forward. It's not going to work out for him. The early Chakram is what separates a life and death for the Alchemist. He ends up falling to Super's Timbersaw.
Yeah, the TP just came out a little bit late. I don't know if the Bounty Hunter flashed on the minimap as he got hit by the T2 tower, but the TP, if it came in maybe a couple of seconds earlier, they would have been able to heal him
again.
up. DDC.
Maybe next time going to be pulled back straight into the kinetic field. Oh, Super whiffs that Chakram, and he didn't have much mana to work with anyway.
And Dust reveals Xiao 8 does not want to concede to death at this moment. Let's see if he's going to be able to bottle up anyone. Maybe next time gets a couple of hits.
Thug giving it away. 6-minute rune is coming up too.
This other ward placed by Xiao 8 behind the T2, not only will it scout out that courier, but it'll scout out that large stack, and if anything is happening over there. And right now, he knows that it's just a 1 stack, or 0, whatever you want to call it.
And Timbersaw is a great hero for contesting those kind of stacks too, right? Because he can,
Rider.
Yeah, he can go behind the towers just because he's so tanky that even if they rotate heroes from Ad Finum, he may still be able to survive. And you're right, Bat Rider, another hero who may end up going down here. Madara's going to try and chase him down with the Shikuchi. He's got him. They're going to be able to get the last couple of hits thanks to the Geminate attack. Ad Finum strike back. But LFY not giving any space whatsoever. Now they're going to go on to Skylark. He tries to run himself away. The kinetic field doesn't quite last, but the glimpse will pull him back to his death as he tries to go for the TP out, but the damage is too much. And his big Terror Blade, now maxed out Metamorphosis, finds yet another kill.
They're making this lane seem easy for the Terror Blade, but looking at Dark CS, he died twice, but he has 39 CS, the most on the Radiant side, and not many of that were from neutrals, if at all. And Thug does have himself bottled a bounty rune, so his early game deaths not going to be as costly. Easy recovery.
Level 6 is finally here for Thug, and he's trying to do some neutraling, but we talked about how Super will be able to contest this. He comes right in, will steal some of these bigger creeps. And it doesn't look like Ad Finum are really going to be able to put a stop to this. Spartan's here, but the rest of their dual lane and bottom lane has not made a rotation. In fact, Spartan's going to be kind of caught, slowed down by the Chakram, and Super gives him the whirling death.
this is what you want to do versus an Alchemist. Many people ask what's the counter. It's stop his farm early, prevent him from that 12-minute armlet radiance timing. And right now, 7 minutes in, not even that close to getting the armlet in. No stacks really to look at. Yao is actually taking out the rest of that bottom camp. And how many neutrals is Thug going to have to work with?
They really do need to bring some extra heroes, but how can they? They've got an offlane Darkseer, one of the slower offlaners out there, and this safe lane Weaver, which will be ready to go and fight sometime soon, but for now, he's still trying to just farm up and keep Yao back as the Batrider. We talked about how important his farm is to the game. They're trying to slow down that blink as much as possible.
And I think to recover the Alchemist's farm, they need to be able to secure these bounty runes. 8 minutes is coming up, and all it takes is 1 or 2 more bounty runes to propel him to the leader of the net worth chart. But he's still behind.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to try and rotate over for the 8-minute one, but Zhao 8's already there. So even if it was a bounty bottom, there's no way Ad Finum can actually collect. Sure enough, there it is. Taunting.
And they know at least they know the bounty hunter is down there because they had a reserve ward spotted out. The bounty rune disappeared with no hero in sight. So
yeah,
that's some information that they can glean. Maybe it's time for them to start stacking the Ancients. I think that's a much easier place for them to protect. Just because Timbersaw, neither Timbersaw nor Batrider can actually take that stack out because they don't have any physical damage really.
Right.
And it's a much safer investment for them.
Yeah, it's a relatively easy area to close off. Even with that offlane tower gone, they could still use just a cliff ward and a counter ward and still be able to see any potential encroachments by Zhao 8.
They have to be scared though. This Batrider is getting a lot. He's died 3 times, but he still has a fair amount of farm. Zhao 8 taking a lot of damage, but with the Windwalk will be safe. And the Batrider's Blink Dagger is going to come out pretty soon.
Madara, he's poking out, trying to see if he can actually catch Zhao 8, even though he's invis with the Shikuchi. Not going to happen here. Meanwhile, this is pressure that Ad Finum, they can't ignore, but they also can't contest. A Terrorblade pushing in your middle tier 1 tower before the 10-minute marker, but he's just too much for them to handle, so they're going to try and trade off and see if Madara can get the bottom lane.
This Acid Spray does nothing versus the Terrorblade, so at the very least, this like 17, 18 armor Terrorblade just gets tickled from Acid Spray.
Yeah, I was trying to set up wrapping around behind anybody who gets a little bit too close to this tier 1, but it seems a pretty obvious situation that is a fail for Ad Finum. They just really cannot contest. The tier 1 tower will go down, and Ad Finum are just going to be forced to clean up whatever scraps they're given by LFY.
Yeah, what scraps are there? There's not really that much for them to take out anymore. Skylark's also looking to farm up his mech, and there are just not enough creeps in the jungle.
Yeah, they get whatever is pushed into mid lane. The top lane is pushing out, but the thing is the Darkseer can't really go up there to farm that lane just because the Disruptor, thanks to a combination of an aggressive ward in lane as well as a high-level glimpse, can easily catch the Darkseer if he goes up there. An attempt to catch Madara doesn't quite get him. They're going to try and turn actually here. Madara pushes him back, making sure that he is not a victim.
And they have the level 6 on the Warlock. Maybe next time doing neutrals right now, this could be pretty big for them if they want to protect the Alchemist. Just drop the rock with some level 2 Fatal Bonds. There's no T1 tower in the mid though. That's one that you definitely do not want to lose as an Alchemist. I would say that's way worse than the bottom T1 tower.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's why they picked the Terrorblade, to push down those T1s very early so that Bounty Hunter, Timbersaw, and Batrider can have their free reign.
So what do you think, Merlini? The end 30 seconds till Metamorphosis is up. Does LFY just make a rotation bottom lane and push down that tier 1 with the next round?
That one is actually not that important just because they can already enter the Radiant jungle.
Madara in some serious trouble. Is going to time lapse, going to be pulled back into the glimpse. The counter ward is there. They're going to be able to get the lasso. Madara should go down. He's helping to be able to survive by the infused raindrop, but it's just not going to be enough. Not with 4 heroes there. Tracked up and will be brought down. A big track kill and a big kill either way for LFY, as the one hero that was really farming on Ad Finum is brought low.
Yeah, I think they're already doing enough damage to their economic system to make Ad Finum very, very worried about how the next 10 minutes are going to go. Like Alchemist, he's like, you know, he's kind of getting there with his Radiance, but the Weaver has died. They're getting a lot of track gold. He's not going to be able to find space to farm his Lincoln Spear. He still needs 3,000 gold and then some to get his Lincolns. And meanwhile, as you mentioned, the meta is up. They push down another T1 with the free kills, and if they want to fight, they have to fight against the odds of track. But they do need to use Gearlock Offering.
They are actually going to try and stop this push. Madara comes in, they're going to drop the rock, they're going to catch some of these heroes, pull him back into the vacuum. Super's going to be caught, but he managed to get away. A long latch onto a tree allows him to escape and cover a static storm. Now multiple TPs. And Advenom just could not get there fast enough. Madara gets a couple more shots onto Super's backside, but doesn't result in much of that reactive armor going strong.
Zhao 8 waiting at the rune, he just steals it right under Spartan and wastes the dust from Spartan. And that was a 4-man static storm by DDC to ensure their escape. And now they're not really getting anything. They're giving up kills, they're giving up track kills, they can't protect the neutrals, nor can they protect their towers. And that was a rock wasted.
Yeah, that certainly was. It just seemed a bit perplexing. Advenom, they wanted to be able to fight. They wanted to slow down these LFY pushes, but they just got there a bit too late to really set up. They're even going to lose the golem. 100 gold going to LFY.
They just need to go back to their original plan. They picked the Alchemist, and they need to make sure that the Alchemist is thriving. And I'm very surprised to see no Ancient stacked up from Advenom. They don't really have to fight. I think they will win the economic game as long as they don't waste their resources, like, you know, all of these heroes TPing bottom lane in a fruitless defense of the tower.
Wait until he gets to level 2 Chemical Rage. Thug now pops his ultimate, try and get some regen into the mana. He's been slowing down a bit on farm, but he might part to that.
And even more so now that Yao already headed back to base. 2240 gold. It is time for the reign of Bat Rider.
Especially for the Radiance too.
Yeah. This could be pretty poor for them. Like, even if they do get the Radiance, I think it's going to be pretty tough, just because with the Terror Blade, they're actually really strong in the team fights. I don't even think Rock's that big of a deal for them.
Yeah, they could very easily push into tier 2 if they wanted. That objective is free. Roshan is also probably a free objective for LFY at this point. They could even try and go high ground just to see if they can force Advenom back inside their base from time to time. The rotation's coming across. That tier 2 is not going to be the only target by LFY. They managed to catch the Alchemist, pull him into the static storm, and here comes Timbersaw to deliver the finishing blow. 2-8 now. LFY a dominant position by 14 minutes. You want it fast, LFY. They've got their foot in the pedal here. They're even looking for an extra hero. They're going to lay down a ward inside. Now it's going to be immediately counter-warded. Maybe next time, maybe not immediately. Gets sent back a little bit, but they're going for the high ground push.
They have the Lance already on end, and still a healthy duration left on the Metamorphosis, but Glyph has been used, and that looks like to be LFY's sign to back off immediately. But now so much of the map is open to them, as Alchemist cannot really push out lanes. He doesn't have the BOTs, he doesn't even have his Radiance.
Yeah, and the neutrals are probably the more efficient way for Alchemist to be able to farm, stacking those up, benefiting off of Greevil's Greed, but so many of these neutrals are going to be contested by LFY's clear control of the map. Aggressive wards all around, very little tier 2s to work off of. And perhaps an impending Roshan. Advenom are going to try and escalate things a bit. They're going to try and match LFY somehow here with a 4-man smoke behind the Alchemist. They don't even have the Radiance yet, but they're feeling so down and out. They want to try and make something happen themselves.
That scan hits on Skylark. They know that they're all to the northwest of that T1 tower. But LFY, they don't really have a reason to make a move. There's no lasso up, there's no meta up, no reason to take a fight right now. Even though they do have the track, they're not going to jump the gun. And another smoke just as Lasso comes off cooldown. Yao joins the rest of his team as he blinks over towards the dire jungle.
And they know exactly who their target is. They're going to look for the Alchemist somewhere inside the neutrals. They're going to sweep through mid, sweep through the... Yeah, they've got that tower, that ward behind the tier 2. There's the Radiance finally, but 16 minutes in, Armlet Radiance, not the best timing. It's about to get a whole lot worse if LFY actually get an initiation here. They see the Ogre, and it looks like they're just going to take that one kill. They hope for the Alchemist, not going to happen. Grok is going to be dropped here, so the Ogre is down, but that's not a hero they care too much about. With that vacuum and one big swing from the Golem, they managed to bring down 2. They may find a 3rd. They're pushing out, looking for heroes, but LFY are ready to respond. The Timbersaw is already back up thanks to the high charge of the Bloodstone that he got. So he's already in the mid lane, ready to continue this push alongside the rest of his allies.
And now, and has committed his meta to try and push this down, as you mentioned, Super. He's right back up. He's in there.
Yeah, he pushes straight into Madara. Does get a small pittance of damage there.
There's no place for an Alchemist to farm. Like, he wants to be able to defend right here, but he also just wants to farm with his BOTs, Manta immediately after. And LFY are just giving him no space at all, no time.
I mean, this Metamorphosis is easily going to last. Well, backdoor protection is up for right now, so this damage being done isn't really doing a whole lot there, LFY. They're going to have to wait for the next creep wave, and it seems like that's just going to be too late. It's all maybe next time. Thanks to that Warlock Golem, he cleared a whole entire wave from behind, and that stops the push in its tracks. They had plenty of Metamorphosis time to work around, but because of that little maneuver with just the Golem, they managed to keep their tier 2 alive.
And now they'll see the Terrorblade TP top that gives the green light for Alchemist to finally farm out in more risky areas.
The Disruptor and Batrider are still here in aggressive position. They know their combination of nukes, especially if the Timbersaw is here. They can bring anybody down, even the Alchemist. Nobody is safe from this combination of catch. And you're going to see the Ogre. He's going to be the victim here. And may say just an Ogre, but it's also a track kill. So these 5-position pickoffs, they are something for LFY to celebrate about. Just means more and more track gold going their way.
Yeah, and that's the thing about like an Alchemist strategy. Normally you're okay with all your supports time because they're so low on net worth, and you're getting a lot of farm in the meantime. But they're not low on net worth because they give track.
Yeah,
and
look at that.
Can't farm.
That's like what, almost an 800 gold exchange. Look at Ogre's net worth right now. He's worth 800 gold.
Poor guy.
That's track gold. That's what track gold's all about. That guy is almost worth less than his bounty that LFY got from the kill.
Yeah, and Madara is still struggling to farm with his Lincoln Sphere, so it's not like his other cores are exchanging farm in the meantime, and Thug kind of confined to the area right outside of his T3.
They at least have some really good team fight combination now with Skylark picking up his Blink Dagger. If they get the right kind of level 4 vacuum in on top of a Fatal Bonds with Chaotic Offers. We saw that combination earlier with the Timbersaw and how he just got bursted down.
Yeah, I think I really would have preferred the Alchemist, or sorry, the Warlock to get level 4 Fatal Bonds instead of level 4 Shadow Word. Just because I think it's all about that team fight. And maybe even just like 2 levels of Shadow Word and 1 Upheaval by now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. It feels like the Upheaval is kind of necessary at this point.
He did almost get a couple of kills because of Shadow Word, so I can see why he did it. Like, he almost killed the Bounty Hunter in the mid lane if he had higher levels of Shadow Word.
I think in some ways they know this rotation is coming, and that's why they're smoked up. They're trying to reach Madara, but can they actually save him in time? Madara's going to be caught. He's going to be held up by the lasso. Here comes the vacuum, have a goal and drop, and they're going to be able to save him. Turn things around and get 3 big kills. LFY gets dropped by the rock. Ad Venom go for the push now, the tier 2, and look to claim much more of a net worth swing than LFY could have possibly dreamed of.
And DDC was holding on to his Static Storm. He wasn't confident whether or not they were going to kill that Weaver. And if he had dropped it, they would have at least gotten a Weaver kill. But
if not potentially stopped the Darkseer when he blinked in. But that bit of greed from DDC cost them big time.
And that good positioning by the Weaver too. Because he was hiding out in the fog. He's like, okay, my team's coming up behind. He lured them into a position where like, okay, we can do this. So Lasso comes out behind. He's like behind the tree, so he thinks he's safe. And he gets a Shikuchi off before all those spells come out. DDC still holding his Static Storm, doesn't drop it, but they're like, oh crap, we're right about to lose this fight. And look at that beautiful combination.
He was just about to drop it, but it was a bit too late. The Weaver, he manages to get out, and 3 big kills go to Ad Venom. 7-10 now, 20 minutes in. A 2,000 gold lead still being held by LFY.
But they proceed immediately into the Roshan pit.
Double damage.
He is incredibly strong. He is plus 234. That buff to meta adding to base damage really makes a difference when it comes to the DD.
Yeah, it certainly does. So the first Aegis, that does cost them Metamorphosis, so they probably won't be able to push for another 2 minutes, but when they do, it could be a potential death push. Ad Venom, they may have gotten a big win in that top lane, but they are still definitely behind. LFY's up in net worth against an Alchemist says a lot about the pace of this game.
At least the kill score is pretty low, and so Ad Venom has to be happy. The kill score is only 7-10. I would say that's much better than you would probably expect with a Bounty Hunter in the game and an Alchemist. Your supports tend to die a lot more in this sort of game, especially with a Batrider hunting around. But Ad Venom are playing pretty tight. Few of their heroes are up to T3 right now. Like, look at where Spartan maybe next time and Madara are. They're hiding. They don't want to give up any sort of kills right now. Any kill could lead to a push with the Aegis, especially with meta 1 minute off cooldown. They have to be very careful about not giving any free kills. They need to be 5 strong. Darkseer especially, I think, is a hero that cannot die.
Absolutely. I mean, Adfinum, they were on the offense in game number 1 in a very similar scenario, right? Skylark went for those very deep base dives in order to find a pickoff that led to early high ground pushes with a Morphling. Same thing could happen here with the high physical damage of a Terrorblade if Adfinum are not careful and wise to LFY's game plan.
And I don't see any smokes on the side of LFY. This would be a pretty good time to do so as they try and approach the high ground. Meta is just 20 seconds off cooldown. The Alchemist isn't out of control yet. He can't really even go outside of base right now because he doesn't have the Manta style.
Oh man, this just seems like a great position for LFY. They've got all the lanes pushed in. Top lane's pushed in it a bit, but it's not a danger to their tier 3, especially since all of Adfinum's heroes are inside the base.
Skylark's time to shine again on that Darkseer. I remember the other play that he made with the YOLO Blink and a Roche, and he didn't get anyone with the vacuum wall, but he has been delivering on the vacuums this game. This is a high pressure situation for him.
And separating himself from his 3 illusions, wants to make sure they don't get caught in too big of a vacuum. They're going to try and wrap around from the side. Skylark is already smoked up next to maybe next time, looking for their Blink initiation. They're approaching.
Look at where Yao is. He was in deep.
Madara is trying to kind of poke them, see if they can actually get these heroes to move forward. But they're just beating onto this tier 3 tower with the illusions and the power of the Dragonlance.
But now they have to actually walk up the hill right now, and is beating on it. And
there are a lot harder, and there it is. The vacuum goes out, but the static storm comes out instantly. They do manage to get the golems down, but LFY do not take a whole lot of damage to that combination, and they can think about backing out if they want to. Metamorphosis is on its last legs. So they will indeed retreat, happy with just a tier 3 taken and a golem exposed.
There is still the wall available to them. That was one of the big cooldowns that wasn't actually used because, as you mentioned, he got static storm. So the rock is down, but still, I don't even think it's that big of a deal with the rock is down because they do have the fatal bonds to follow up after the vacuum wall.
They want that Alchemist. They have a smoke too if they wanted to blow it and try and get past this mid lane without being spotted, but they're not going to go for it. They're going to let the bounty hunter scout for now. This aggressive Ancient Ward did see a lot. And Thug, if he's not careful, he's going to be caught here. Already jump forward. They managed to get the lasso. This is a big kill. They should be able to bring him down quite easily. Chakram's going to be able to come through. The Whirling Death cutting him down to size. And Thug has no real escape. Gone for a minute just as he was about to close in on that Manta style.
And Xiao knew exactly where he wanted to go. If he wasn't that close to the Manta style, I'm pretty sure he would have just left that Slater Cape at half and went up there, but because he was at 2,600 gold, he knew he was that close. He does have buyback available to them, but it's a tough position right here. I think he has to buy back, or else we're just going to lose 1, maybe 2 sets of racks.
Yeah, End is already doing a lot of damage even without Metamorphosis. They actually throw out the wall here. End drops a bit low, but again, he still has that Aegis to work around with. LFY, if they're feeling it, they can still go for a bit of a push here, but they decide against it. 1 more minute left on the clock for the Aegis, but with the wall there kind of impeding their progress into that melee racks, they should be more than happy with a buyback on an Alchemist, again, slowing down that Manta.
Madara? Where is he going?
I'm not sure.
There is a DD available to him. Is he going to go for a chicken snipe? The Observer Ward should have scattered him out.
He's actually going to run into that courier. Oh, that was the Scotty, though. That could have been big. That would have delayed up the Scotty, and LFY may not have felt comfortable without that big ticket item to push high ground, but now they certainly will. They've got the Metamorphosis. They already have the push into the melee racks. And pops it now, jump forward, lasso, onto the Alchemist, and he's static guard, he's gone! A minute down, so is Darkseer for another minute as well, and all of a sudden LFY just pounced, and they're looking to end the game almost. They've already got the Chakram down. Fortunately, a surge from the Darkseer will allow the Warlock to escape, but that's 1 lane of racks down, and Metamorphosis is up for quite some time. They can go ahead and push for a second round, especially with Spartan going down. He tries to man up for a second, but now he's gone for 30, and the tier 3 at mid lane is going to be the next victim of LFY's push. Madara comes forward trying to poke at these heroes desperately, but he's just not the kind of hero to be able to do the damage they need right now. And finishing up that melee racks, they manage to get the back into the combination. Oh my god, a 4-man caught, but LFY just do not seem to take enough damage. And Kurt fights it out. He's trying to battle it up, and he will manage to successfully take 1 kill, get the melee racks, and get the hell out. LFY, 1 swoop in through the bottom lane, 2 lanes of racks fall.
Alchemist is just way too far behind at this point, and that was kind of a dieback. I'm not really sure what the timeline is for, you know, people buying back and dying again to be considered a buyback, but he has died a lot this game, 4 times to be exact. 26, 27 minutes, this is usually where you get your like 5th, maybe 6th item for Alchemist. And right now he's still struggling to pick up that Manta style. And without the Manta style, they can't push out lanes at all. Bounty Hunter will scout him out, call in the rest of his team, get a pick off.
And look at that initiation. 4 heroes caught into the golems, but they don't have the Alchemist. And Madara is just not ready to go. He's only got a Linken's on this Weaver. He can't possibly put out the single target damage that they really need to be able to burst down, like M, for example.
They have no real magic damage to deal with his high amount of armor. His armor is just out of control, though. 25, like Acid Spray and Swarm and the Blightstone, it still doesn't really do anything, because other than that, what other damage do you have? If you have Fatal Bonds, you need magic damage to follow it up. If you want to kill the
definition of yellow. Their 5-man smoke out, immediately goes straight for Super, already bringing him quite low, but the Yule Scepter goes down. He still has a Bloodstone as well. The Static Storm, they managed to catch Thug, pull him straight into it with the Chalk over the top. They're going to be able to eliminate him once again. This wall is ineffective as Madara is trying to get out, but he only has the time left. He's going to be pulled back, potentially. Yes, he is. Pulled straight back into the claws of LFYs. They latch into him. Bring down another core of Ad Venom. He'll buy back, but the Alchemist cannot. And buyback protection be damned. LFY have more than enough physical damage and time to be able to eat through this top lane of Rax and push into Ad Venom while the Alchemist is still down.
And Terrorblade is very, very scary, especially when there's this sort of shot calling is going around too. All the T1s fell very systematically, and this will be the last hope for Ad Venom.
That aggressive play, double chakram coming out from Super. Madara again just has no clear to be able to deal with these illusions. The Alchemist still down for another 5 seconds. They now lack a glyph. Trying to hold on for any temporary means, but LFY keep themselves rather spread. They know the only option for Ad Venom at this point is some sort of blink vacuum play. LFY will retreat now. They know what a commanding position they're in, and they do not want to let this gigantic lead that they have be wrestled out of their control. 25,000 net worth lead against an Alchemist, 10k experience.
I think it's just time to you have to play super riskily as Ad Venom. Just push out lanes, hope the Bounty Hunter isn't on you, and just kind of go for it. I think sitting inside your base against this Terrorblade with BKB, who's eventually just going to run up your hill and pummel everyone, it is just not going to work out for them. Right now they're not really taking any risks, but maybe already devising plans for next game, and it doesn't seem like they do as well with these farming-based strategies.
A second Roshan is going to be LFY's choice while they wait for this Metamorphosis to come back up. 20 seconds until it's there. He's also going to have the upgraded Hurricane Pike, which is going to make it that much harder for heroes like the Alchemist to be able to close that distance against an army of Scotty illusions.
And right now they're just sitting up their base though. It's so hard. Like last time they got a 4-man vacuum, and they still weren't able to really kill anyone in that fight. The last
Manta just now picked up by Thug at 30 minutes. This is supposed to be the start of Alchemist getting his split push items, but it's looking like the end to this game 2 at least. It's LFY. We described it as a death push or the bottom lane earlier. I'm not sure what the upgraded form of that, but it's LFY's top lane push that will finish this game. Unless some sort of miracle happens for Ad Venom.
5-man vacuum wall?
5-man vacuum wall into a golem, into an unstable concoction. That's the play. A full...
I don't think they have enough damage to kill Terrorblade.
Unstable concoction.
You have to kill the Terrorblade in that combo, or else you just sunder someone, usually the Alchemist, and then you just lose.
Yeah, and LFY are too smart for that. Look at their positioning. There's no way a big vacuum is going to be able to come out. In fact, the Bat Rider may even find the initiation first and manage to get the golems out, but it's just not enough. And then he immediately pops the GKB and starts laying into Thug. Thug tries to battle it out, but he's up against the Static Storm. He just can't get out in time. And that'll be the end of game number 2, LFY. It all came down to the draft. Game 1, Ad Venom baited out the Enigma. This time around, LFY, they bait out the Alchemist, who's been so dominant on the main stage. It seems like these two teams are destined for a fast-paced game, as whoever plays the faster game seems to win.
The first pick is really important, though.
Yeah.
Like for LGD, last